Hello and welcome to the PST Coach Cast. Today for this episode, I've got Coach Ben Palmer on. Really excited to have this conversation because really we haven't really had any interaction since we were at HBU at the same time, which that seems like a century ago at this point. And I always remember the funniest thing I ever saw you do on Twitter was when you posted that you're the smallest O-line coach in the world.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's definitely the Ben that I remember. So I still think of that sometimes to this day. It kind of makes me giggle a little bit. But how you doing today, man?
Man, I'm doing good. With that, this is also line thing. Like I said, it's a joke, but I'm weighing in at nice 150, and but I realized pretty quick when I became an OC that if you can't coach the O-line, then you can't really truly be an offensive coordinator. So I started devoting all my time to learning O-line play, and I had a lot of good coaches around me, and went and saw a lot of guys, and just read up a lot of stuff, and without a doubt, it made me a better coach and coordinator. And uh, again, I just kind of fell in love with the linemen. I was like, man, screw receivers and quarterbacks, all that drama. I'm just going to coach these guys up front. They're a lot more fun.
No doubt. Sometimes I wish I'd still stayed in that world for this entire time. But the last 4 or 5 years I've been with quarterbacks, like most of the time. But sometimes I'm like, man, I really wish I was just hanging out with the five guys up front because there's a lot of really good things that happen up there. And so real quick, you went from Houston kid, you're Katy, Texas, correct?
Katy, Texas, born and raised, baby. Katy Tigers.
Katy Tigers. And so you go military out of high school, correct?
So actually, I kind of got a crazy story and how I've been around everywhere. After I went to Sam Houston first on track scholarship.
Okay. I know that.
My first year there, I was like, screw this. I hate track. And it was one of those things I always did because I was good at, but I hated it. And then I knew I wanted to coach football since I was in 7th grade. My coaches were kind of dads to me. Just a lot of what, I've been able to do and have somewhat of a normal life. I credit to the guys that coached me growing up at Katy. I just want to be able to give back the same way they gave to me. And, obviously I love the sport of football. But with that, all that being said, after Katy, went to Sam Houston, then after my first year there, wasn't what I wanted to do. It's like, I'm gonna go ahead and start getting into coaching. Willis, Texas was, right by Sam Houston. So, I'm not gonna say I was a coach by any means. I know what the heck I was doing, but, I kind of helped run their strength and conditioning program this summer and the 7-on-7 team since, in Texas, you can't really do all that. I don't know what the rules are now, but
right.
Back in 2006, they couldn't do that stuff in the summer. And then, after a year there, I found a job at Evangel Christian in Shreveport, and there's just this random Katy connection. John Bachman Sr., who was the head coach there, and then later the head coach at Calvary, won a lot of championships. He started his coaching career in Katy. And then, so, we had that, he's trying to build the same thing, up there in Shreveport that they had in Katy, a lot of Katy similarities. Anyway, got the job there. But, after a year and a half at Evangel, loved it. Definitely solidified this is what I want to do the rest of my life. This is the middle of, Iraq and Afghanistan going on. And, my brother-in-law had just got back from his second tour in Iraq. And, I was like, man, that's something I always wanted to do too. I don't want to be 40, 50 years old one day and say, dang, I never did that when I had the chance. So, 21 years old, decided, hey, let's go do that. If anything, it'll make me a better coach, learn leadership, discipline, all these things that I'm sure we'll be able to carry over. And then I won't have any regrets later in life. So, spent 4 years in the Marines, deployed to Afghanistan. After I got back from Afghanistan, I had, maybe a year left, in the Marines. And, by that point, you're not really doing much. They're not going to train you up to go do another deployment because you don't have enough time. So, I went to my gunnery sergeant and basically was like, hey, man, this is like the senior year in high school. You don't just graduate and say, all right, now what am I going to do? I have no plans. Right. So I was like, hey, there's a high school real close to the base, La Costa Canyon, that, anyway, I had reached out to them and, they had offered me a receiver job. And I said, hey, how can we make this work with the Marine Corps and start to go coach? He's like, hey, man, just come do your thing, train some other guys, and then at noon every day, leave and go do what you got to do down the road. And that, that was the biggest blessing.
Sold.
What's that?
Sold, right? That's the deal.
Yeah, it's the guys I was able to. My first year, the offensive coordinator that I was working for is now the defensive coordinator at University of Louisiana Lafayette. At probably 30 years old, Patrick Toney. The dude knows more football than anybody ever been around. So I was very fortunate to learn under him, and this guy Sean Sovacool. the head coach, one of the best, probably the best head coach I've ever seen. So I learned a ton in my years there. So then anyways, after that, once I finally got out of the Marines, I stayed another year, became the coordinator there. It was great learning experience. Again, I'm young, first year coordinator. I have no idea what the heck I'm doing. You just had some good players, good coaches around me. It's just the reality of it. Our first year calling plays, I don't think anybody really knows what they're doing. But it was a great experience. The school was the number one athletic program in the entire country, according to Max Preps when I was there. They win in everything. So I got to learn a lot from how to win from all the other sports around us. But anyways, got out, and then spent another year there. And then my wife and I was talking about starting a family, which is too far away from all our own family. So we moved back to Houston. And then, I had reached out to Coach Shealy at HBU. Again, some guy he don't know from nothing, but Patrick Toney knew Wieselmeyer real well. They kind of worked together and stuff. So that whole connection kind of happened. And they just was going through a lot, in my own life and just starting family and transitioning from the Marines. As you know, they didn't really stay too long at HBU. Just, made a lot of personal mistakes in my life and just, learning from it, just, things I was going through personally. Then ended up back in Shreveport after that because the same head coach I worked for at Evangel had a new job at Calvary. And they called me literally out of the blue in January of when I was at HBU and just said, "Hey, man, we got a job for you if you want it." And, hopped on it. And, that was, again, great experience. Won some state championships, coached some really good players. Again, nothing I did to make them good, just was around a lot of good coaches and good players. It just helped me develop.
Nothing wrong with that. And so that's interesting because I didn't actually know most of your background when we were at HBU because, like I said, you were there for just kind of that short little time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was in the middle of my indentured servitude on the offensive side.
No doubt.
And so I was in my little cave doing whatever God knows that Drew and Shannon, those guys had me doing. Because I knew like Kamar's kind of background. I knew, I think you were gone by the time Chris Moss showed up.
Yeah.
I kind of knew their background a little bit, but I guess just you and I just never really got in the same room to really kind of chat some. And so, but you're a guy that I always kind of felt like from what you were doing with us at that time to like something didn't quite add up, and that obviously explains a lot to me because I didn't really know you had like that background coming into the Habu world. So
Yeah.
that's really cool, man. And so now you go to Calvary, correct?
Yep.
And shout out to those guys for winning that state title yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah, won big. They the team that knocked us out last year, Washita Christian, great program. That Coach Fitzhugh runs there. They're kind of the two private school powerhouses. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Hold on, let me get my kid out real quick. Sorry about that.
Life with youngins, right?
Yeah, no doubt. But yeah, so they won state again. Obviously, great program. Coach Gewen, happy for him. He won his first state title there. He's the head coach now. You're a great guy. Can't say a bad thing about him. Everybody learned a lot from him on just kind of how to run a program. So, yeah.
And then you move to Oklahoma now. You're in Tulsa. And how's that first year been?
Man, I don't think anybody could I'm sure I'm not the only first-year head coach or taking over a program when COVID happened in the country, but, I got hired and literally about a week and a half later, the world shut down.
Right.
So it was interesting, without a doubt, the most mentally draining and exhausting season I've been through, but man, it was fun. We did a lot of good stuff. The kids have bought in. It's a lot of potential here. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Did you even get to like meet your team like before the world shut down, or?
I did, but then a lot of them weren't there though. We had our basket's a really big basketball school. And a lot of the kids were in basketball and baseball at the time. But yeah, I met them, but we didn't really get to do anything. There was
Gotcha.
An off season, we didn't have spring, we didn't have much of a summer, so it was hard to really develop those relationships through Zoom and all that things we were trying to do. As you know, as a coach, that's so much of the coaching profession is developing relationships with your kids. And it was like, all right, well, now what do we do? So.
And did y'all have any like game cancellations or like stuff get pushed back with you guys, or was it pretty smooth once it got going?
Uh, we had 1 week where we had a team cancel, and then we found a replacement, and then they had to cancel the day before also. Um, but otherwise, yeah, I mean, we got lucky. We got to play. I think we played 12, 13 games this year. So,
There you go.
I mean, yeah, we were fortunate. It was a lot of iffy at the beginning, but here in Oklahoma, most teams, got to play a full season.
That's good. We had one game in pre-district get canceled on that Wednesday, and so we just kind of took it as a bye week. We had a number of guys get kind of banged up anyway, and so we're like, you know what, this kind of worked out perfectly for us. And then we had one district game had to get canceled because of they had some issues at their school with Corona, but um, we weren't able to make the playoffs this year. But going from an 0-27 to a 5-4, making decent strides here. So, but still getting 8 games in with everything going on, I'd say that was a success for us,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
starting to see a little bit of growth on this end. So that was much needed for my psyche as well as the kids, I'm
Oh,
sure.
yeah. I mean, that gives y'all momentum going in. If you can win some games with all the heck that was going on this year, that says a lot.
No doubt. Well, shoot, man. What'd you run when you were on track scholarship?
800 and I really did javelin. I threw javelin in USA and AAU all summer. Every year growing up, I held the Gulf Coast region record at one point. They were kind of trying to make me like a decathlete or heptathlete, but jumping ain't my thing. So that really didn't work out. But 800 and javelin were my two events that I did.
Very cool. I had no idea about that. That's good stuff, man. And so, real quick, what is obviously assuming that we get kind of back into normal world order here in the next few months?
Mm-hmm.
What's kind of the one thing you're really looking forward to this off season with your guys, since you didn't really have one last year after going through the season with them? What's like the one thing that you really want to pinpoint as your first off season as a head coach, I guess?
I mean, just having an off season is exciting, as so much of building your culture and your identity of your program happens January through May, and it doesn't happen in August or September. It's a little too late at that point. So
Right.
just getting to really build that culture. I know it's such an overused word nowadays, but it's just cliche. But I mean, it's everything. Your culture dictates your beliefs, and your beliefs dictate your actions, and your actions dictate your success or lack of it. So we got really good kids here. There's no pushback. They all show up. They're just not used to success in recent years. That they won state championship in 2016. They never won a championship, but they went recently. They had a real good group of kids. That coach left after that year, I believe. And then Doug Maddox came in. I think he had some success, but then this last year, right before, they were 2-8. They didn't have much success. They just kind of got beat up, and they were just young, real young. And then this year we were young again. We had 7 or 8 seniors, so we don't lose a whole lot. So it's exciting to have this group of kids now that came back, and then now they've tasted success. We made it to the third round of the playoffs. It's the third best season the school's had in its history. We were picked 6th to preseason be 6th place in district. So having that confidence and a little bit of taste of success now from the kids, and then like, hey, all season, if we got that close and we started to taste what we can do without any of the stuff that we should have had and missed out on all off season this summer, imagine what we can do now. So
Yeah, no
just
doubt.
continue to build on that, potential for success and just the grind of it. But just really getting our mindset ready to compete. That was kind of our weakness this year in the big games. We just, we still don't, as a group of kids, really see ourselves as, man, we're one of those top tier teams. We played the back-to-back state champs, and they're in our district, kind of our big rival.
Mm.
I'd argue we probably have the toughest district in the state, just top to bottom. The number 1 recruit in the whole state, number 5 athlete in the nation. It was in our district. The dude is a freak. He just make plays that. Sorry,
Right.
nothing we can do to stop that, guys. He does that because who he is. So, anyways, kind of beating around here, but just to answer your question, just building that mindset of competition and toughness, and just, hey, everything is a competition, and it sucks to lose, guys. It's just that you should hate losing, and you can be all right with it if you put everything into it and that team is just better than you. But if you know that you didn't do your best and that I should desire to want to give everything I can because I want to be a winner, because it's fun winning. It's not fun losing. I don't think I've ever played a game or coached a game and walked out there with a loss like, man, that was freaking awesome. Like, I had a blast. No, nobody does that. I don't like losing as much as anybody. So, if I'm here to win, and I think, just getting these kids to fully buy into that, and just, kind of have a little bit more grit into us whenever, the chips are down. What type of man are we? We're in a back alley bar fight right now in this game. Are we going to rise up and keep swinging, or are we going to back down?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's probably our the one thing that we got to do this next time around. Like when we first got here, just we had like so little football IQ, we didn't really know
Yeah.
what anything was, and
Yeah.
it's just like, guys, what have y'all been taught over the last few years? And trying to just break down all the walls of a bad culture, tear it down to ground zero.
Mhm.
Okay, let's teach a little bit about football. Let's just teach the game a little bit, because goodness, we had no idea. I'm surprised some of them knew what a football looked like.
Yeah, no doubt. We had a
And
kid. Hey, you got to run A gap. Well, what's the A gap, coach? What? You're in high
yeah,
school? You know what the A gap is? So yeah, I feel your pain, man.
and so I mean that was all of them. And so just we spent that first year just trying to develop a relationship with these kids, and B, just trying to teach a little bit. And then this year you finally got to see some of that competition take hold, but there's still a handful of games that you're like, man, we win this game or this game, we're in the playoffs, and realistically from a talent perspective, we're good enough to win those two games. So what needs to change in order for us to do that? And at the end of the day, like all the kids kind of said, we didn't play well, or we should have beat those guys, or yada, yada, yada. But okay, how are you going to get those guys to do that next time? Right. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
how do you get them to come out and punch them in the mouth on that first down, first play of the game, instead of waiting until the third quarter where I'm losing my mind trying to instill that fire?
yeah, no
And
doubt.
so getting that fast start, that come off the ball right now attitude, that's the one thing I think that we got to work towards this offseason. Just we haven't really had a chance to do that a whole lot yet, because like I said, we were starting from literal ground zero. But that's probably our number one thing. And then for you guys, like private school in Tulsa, so what's numbers kind of look like for you?
As far as like the school or the team.
Both.
Okay, so in the high school, yeah, I don't know. I know from kindergarten through 12th grade, it's all on the same campus. We have about 700 kids through that. I would guess we got maybe about 250 in the high school, 200 maybe, somewhere
Okay.
between. I really don't know. We got 40 kids on the team. Actually, it's like 44, I think. We had, when I showed up, about 21, 22. But I hired two real good coordinators that are great with going out and just meeting kids and just developing those relationships. One of my OC, is a basketball coach too, and then he was able to get a lot of the basketball kids to come out this year, and that really made a huge difference for us. Just having that talent out there. We got a receiver that he's a junior this year. He might end up being the best receiver I ever coached, but he's also one of the best basketball players in the state. So he's going to have some options coming out of it. But both those guys are actually graduates of here, so that's been huge for us too. That they're fully bought in to wanting to come back to where they graduated from and build this thing and just really get these kids to buy into what it was back in the early 2000s when they were here. So
Cool.
anyway, again, that's not really an answer to your question, but we got about 40 so odd kids on the team right now.
Gotcha. And is that between the two levels, or do y'all just have like the one level, or?
And we just got one. We play some JV games, but that's kind of the freshmen and sophomores and some of the junior backup kids. But we'll have kids that will play a JV game and then turn around and play a varsity game, from Monday to Friday. I know they can't do that in Texas, but in Louisiana, the kid, if you got a middle school and high school connected, like kind of how we do here at Victory, in theory, a kid could play a middle school game, a freshman game, a JV game, and a varsity game all in the same week. It's kind of the Wild West over there in Louisiana.
Really?
Yeah, so it's good when you got those young guys coming up that are talented. They can get reps in their sub varsity game. That's guys their level, but then you're able to get them in at varsity some too. where they're getting used to the speed of the game and they're not coming in to start a varsity game the next year and just be wide-eyed and like, man, I mean, because the speed of the game is completely different from
Right.
sub varsity game to high school game. So yeah, I mean we got one team, we got a middle school, we got an elementary program. It's all I kind of run all that. It's all underneath my leadership. But as far as high school, we just got that one group of kids, and we'll play a handful of JV games each year with them also.
Yeah, Lord knows we could have used the ability to bring up a kid after a JV game, because I mean sometimes you'd show up on a Friday and your starting slot receiver would be sent home on quarantine rules, and
yeah,
it's just like, oh no.
Yeah,
And
we had
I have no one to bring up, and so on game day we're swapping the Z to the Y. We're bringing the X over. All right, who's the second X? Okay, we're gonna move the tight end here. We're gonna go 12 personnel sets on game day. And it's just like, man, I have to throw everything out the window because we couldn't bring anybody else up, and so it became like a really hard player management standpoint for that.
Oh, absolutely. Like I was saying, like we had 8 or 9 starters out in the second and third game of the season because of quarantine, and we had 2 guys that they were number 10 and 33, the week before, and they were playing line, and then they were playing guard and tackle, the second game, and it was just learning on the fly, man. It was interesting, but the good thing is though that developed so much depth for us later in the year when we did get everybody back and we're healthy. We had guys who had game reps against really good teams
Right.
at positions. So if the starter was to go down later in the year, we get to put a kid in who's now played 2 or 3 games under his belt at a position that he otherwise wouldn't have, and then we would have been screwed if a kid got hurt late in the season.
No doubt, no doubt. I guess it kind of balances itself out at the end of the day, but I just remember that we were on the road, and I got like my notebook in the bus, like, okay, figuring out a new depth chart, because literally 3 hours ago my starting slot was sent home, and I'm just like,
Yeah, changes a little bit of everything, man. Throw a wrench in there.
no doubt. Well, shoot, man. Let's go ahead and get into some ball. And so you sent a little playlist over, talking through some power variations, and that's great because over here I truly believe you run power, you throw a stick, and eat tacos. You have a nice, happy life going. So I'm always down to talk a little power, and let's get you on screen share and see what you got.
All right, here we go. So as I'm doing that, power for me is just kind of one of those things that that's all you need to run as far as for your inside run. It's for us, we kind of keep it simple with the O-line and just add a few tags, and then we could end up running anything we wanted to. At the end of the day, we could run a poor man's inside zone even, and not really have to teach it as a whole new concept to our line. So like I said, as far as our inside run, we'll have a wrinkle here and there, run some traps and stuff, but, run fold plays, but, we're going to hang our hat on power, and it's just, that's what we do, come stop it. But then week to week, we can add tags and variations with our skill players and, give a, multitude of different looks. But for the 5 guys up front, it's the same thing every play. We just tell them, hey, we're running Peter or Paul, power right, power left, and, with the tag if we need to. But they know the rules. They go get lined up, and then we just get in different formations and do what we can with it. So I got no order to all this stuff, or I kind of, like I said, had to make it last second. Let me see if I can do this. This might help get some different orders of it. Hold on, this isn't the right one. Not bad.
And hold on one second. I still got just your face on screen.
Oh, bad. Here we go. Well, good, because I didn't have it pulled up just ready yet. All right, but share screen. Share. All right,
Now we're talking.
All right, so I got some clips of us this year, as well as some clips from our guys at Calvary. Like I said, everything was new this year. We didn't have an off-season spring to install it, but we did end up having pretty good success. We like, again, I never done Maddox. I've read some of the R4 system stuff, but that's what the kids knew coming in. They didn't run it power at all. They ran a lot of inside zone, so it was teaching on the fly. And like I said, guys just going down with all the different things that happened this year. But so all this, none of this stuff is perfect. But I think it'll give some examples of the different ways that we're able to use power and just keep defenses guessing the whole time. Where for us, it's all simple. One thing I pride ourselves in on offense is formations and alignments and shifts and motions. I think at Calvary, my last year there, we had, over 150 different formations that we lined up in throughout the season. I try each week to have 10 to 12 new looks that they haven't seen. So the D coordinator sitting there having to draw up all these formations all weekend, and then we may not run those that week. So whereas for us, it's all simple. We apply our rules and we line up, and the kids know what to do. So yeah, here, like I said, we'll just kind of get into it, and I'll try to talk through some of this stuff. I'll start with the basic kind of power stuff we run. See if I can just find an old basic one that everybody knows. Let's I guess not do basic stuff. I think everybody knows what power is. Down, kick out. Wrap a backside backer to play side lineman, and you got what you want. So this right here, it's going to end up being just the base power. Like I said, I'll start with it. Like I said, though, we'll line up, with a two-back look, and, we'll move them over to empty, motion a guy back, and then he knew just, all right, now we're going to call power left. And, we got down blocks right here. We got our double team on the looks like the shade right here. We got an odd front. We should be comboing the backside backer, which we don't right here. We kind of whiff on him, but, we got our kick out with our H-back, and we're just downhill. We teach, we're an A-gap power team. It's A-gap to out. We never cut back, or, we say that, or some of our kids do sometimes, but we teach is, unless it's a just massive hole back there, stay play side all the time. Just hit the A-gap until you can't. So that's just, a basic look at power, what we do. But then, I kind of get into some of our variations here. So one thing that I love is running an option, and both at Calvary and here at Victory, both those quarterbacks are by no means dual threat option running quarterbacks. I think the year prior to me taking over coordinator here or head coach here and as coordinator at Calvary, they never ran the quarterback. He maybe had 100 total yards throughout the whole season, both times. But, I'm a big believer in you got to run him. You got to make the defense account for him, and you're not sitting there having to run him 10 times a game. But, if you keep the defense honest where they have to account for him,
right,
that makes an entire another gap. And you're, it's just – it makes it something else they got to work on, especially with option. With that, I've heard from 100 different coaches throughout my career that if you're on option, you got to rep it 1,000 times. It's not something you can just, dabble with. But, I don't believe that at all after, these last, 4 years of coaching it. I think it's overcoached to an extent. We basically just during our mesh periods, on practice, we put our quarterbacks and backs out there and just, hey, y'all figure it out. What works for y'all? Because even with each back, you got different heights from these guys. You got different, depending on what we're doing up front, it's all slightly different. But, I don't want to put a kid in the box and say, all right, you got to take a 45-degree angle step and you got to, ride it this many and the football's got to be at this angle, or, whatever these option teams teach. I'm sure they're a little bit more detailed with it than I am. But, I'm a big believer in you give a kid a problem, they're going to find a solution for it. Not every kid's the same. You can't just teach the same technique to everybody. Give them a tool to put in their toolbox and, let them decide what tool they want to use come the game. So, it's kind of loosey-goosey for us with that. We throw them out there in practice and, figure out what works, guys. And it's ugly at first, but give them a couple of weeks of doing it. And, man, we've been deadly with our triple option stuff. Again, we're on power up front, but we're going to run triple option in a multitude of different looks. So, right here we got, a 3-by-1 look, but we're stacked in the slot. And our stacked guys are going to end up being our pitch man. We're going to run just straight downhill A-gap power and read, our end, just like anybody else would, since we don't have a kick out. And then this guy right here will bubble back and get into pitch relationship. We teach, try to get about 5 yards away from the quarterback and stay a yard behind him. For that third pitch man. So anyways, here, I guess I'll just play the clip here. As you see, our quarterback sees that guy squeezing, so he pulls, and now we're trying to get pitch relationship off the forced defender right here, and now make him make a decision.
Love it.
I kept it, and as you see right here, he ain't a gazelle. It's ugly, ugly, he ain't got no open field ball skills and to make a guy miss, but I mean, he gets in the end zone right here.
No doubt.
So, and again, I mean, it's a good little 10-yard run right here. We got in the goal line and, makes him pay for it. One of the big ways we run it, I think this formation is kind of starting to become famous with Brendan Marion with his, go-go offense. But we've been doing it for a handful of years, before it kind of came out. And it's, I don't think it's anything, groundbreaking. It's just my whole thought behind it was, a lot of people had that sniffer right here. We're like, well, why put him right there? Just scoot him back into the backfield. Now you can give him the ball and he can still do everything you wanted to, if he was lined up in a sniffer. There's no point just keeping him there. And now you got a 3-back look, but you also we can have quads to this side. I mean, there's a 4-receiver threat to one side, but an 8-man box, it's kind of pick your poison. And then, something we'll do a lot. We'll have them here and then we'll shift them out to empty where we go quads one side, pre-snap, and then now we're trips over here and just five out. So it gives us a lot of different variations that we can do. So, I love it. But this is kind of, I guess you would say, our bread and butter way we run triple option. How we're just going to run power. We're down, double team to the backside, end up really getting 3 guys going backside because they're front here. But, if we see that guy squeezing, we pull, and now that second back gets in that pitch relationship, yard behind the quarterback and try to stay 5 yards from him. Tell the quarterback, keep it. If you got that, don't try to make a pitch late downfield. We did that one time and, would have been 6 if the guy caught it, but he ends up dropping it and turns it to a turnover. So, we kind of tell him once you get 5 yards downfield, just keep it and get what you can.
No doubt.
As you can see, I mean, this dude ain't going to beat you running the ball all day. If we hung our hat on him being a dual threat quarterback, we would like this 5 to 8 times a game. It gives defense headaches, I believe. So, yeah. But, let me need to find a good example of us on a good front to kind of teach it what we do a little bit different on power compared to most teams. Let's see what we got here. So yeah, that one's not really very good. But there's no examples. So just kind of out of just your normal spread set 2x2 look, we'll still run power out of it. And again, triple option power. This guy's now going to get into his pitch relationship. Our quarterback pulls. A lot of times we pull when we shouldn't. Again, the guys aren't option quarterbacks. Once they start getting comfortable with it, they want to take those plays and get the ball in their own hand. And
right.
As a quarterback, you want that type of kid back there. You don't want a kid who's scared to have the ball in his hand. But, I think it works good for us. And it gives guys a fit, with just all the different pass game we do still on the same looks. But then we'll be able to come back and run a triple option out of just a normal spread concept. So here we go. Same thing. I'm really trying to get this might be a decent one right here. So what we do different, this is against the odd front, but, they teach kind of more of a vertical press, getting hip to hip and trying to push that double team vertical and then coming off to the backside backer. To me, that doesn't really make much sense. I kind of looked at what Mike Bloomgren, I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, guy, but he's head coach at Rice right now. He was at Stanford. And to me, Stanford is one of the best power run teams there is out there. So we just kind of started looking at what they do. And what he teaches and what now we do is, a lot more horizontal displacement of that double team instead of, the vertical displacement. If you're sitting there telling your back to run a gap and, you say you're running against an even front towards the 3 tech and that guard and tackle are trying to get hip to hip and press the guy vertical, but then he's got to come off to the backside. To me, those guys are working against each other in double team. And then it's a lot easier to get that run through from the backside backer. Or if you don't get the movement on the 3 tech, and then that guard has to come off, that 3 tech's still sitting right there in the A gap that you're trying to run to. So it ends up biting you in the butt. So what we do, it's just kind of whoever our post player is, if we got a 0, then it'll be the center. If we're running to a 3, then that guards the post player. He just takes a small jab step with his, backside foot to cover his gap in case, but then he's just going to basically post up that defensive lineman, and then the down block guys, old school, going to come and just get as low as he can and just try to ram the defender that's been posted up with his shoulder right into his hip and try to bounce him down the line of scrimmage. Again, if we're trying to run a gap, why are we not opening up the A gap and pushing the D lineman away from the play instead of vertically up the field? And then, when that happens to me, I see it a lot easier of, one, the gap's opened up. Two, that tackle or guard in this case can just kind of almost work just horizontally down the field until that guard scrapes at the top and he just falls into his lap, rather than just having to come off and change different angles when you're going at a horizontal press or a vertical press instead. So as you see right here, our center, when he snaps, I know we ain't got the best angles. One thing we struggle with is getting good filmers week to week, but our center doesn't really go upfield at all right here. He just takes 2 quick jab steps and then tries to post up, the zero right here, and the guard's going to come flat down the line and just try to ram him away from the play. Yeah, it's not a perfect example here. We're high school kids still. We don't do things perfect, but just kind of the idea of what we want. And then,
Right.
Since we got that double team, our tackle is just going to basically go straight to the play side backer, and then our guard pulls around. We got an extra blocker at that point, depending on the front if we got that or not. So I'll come back to that. These are some of our variations that we have. Let me kind of put this in order again. It might work a little better. Well, I guess I didn't add any just normal power plays. I added all our wrinkles we got. All right, so
Love it.
wrinkles. All right, so here's we used to call it cowboy. And again, what we do, I think, different than most teams. We huddle in 2 different huddles. We don't. To me, you don't need where I grew up playing and how I started coaching in the beginning. You got the whole team in that formation. The quarterback comes and calls the whole play, tells the snap count, ready, break, go line up. To me, the linemen don't need to hear all that crap. It's, why am I going to tell them the formations and shifts and motions or any of that other stuff? Or, they don't need to hear it. It doesn't apply to them. So our linemen huddle separately about 3 yards from the ball. We have a coach who just gives them the play, just on one signal. Hey, Peter, power right. Paul, power left. If it's protection, the pass protection, running, speed sweep, shark, or seal. They don't need to know all that other stuff. So they break the huddle. They get lined up. They get to make all their calls while our guys are getting all their different formations and looks. And then, what I think has been huge for us, and, usually the first game of the year, we have some trouble with it. But after that, we never get false start penalties because we tell our cadence at the line of scrimmage, which, how the heck do you do that? Well, we kind of use code words. For us, we use Charlie, Yankee, and Mike, just kind of pulling from the old military stuff. But, again, it's a code word that the quarterback has the freedom to call the cadence on whatever he wants. If we see he's not mixing it up enough, we'll kind of remind him on the sideline that he needs to change it up. But, basically all it means is, Charlie, C for Charlie, C for clap. He's going to go on the clap. Mike, he's going to, hey, me. I'm going to call the cadence as in like vocally, and I'll say the go. And then Yankee will be you. Hey, you. He's telling the center, you're going to call the cadence. You say when we're going to go because, I'd rather the center know when he's snapping and almost get that cheated extra step or first step coming off a little quicker rather than having to hear, react, snap the ball, and then make his steps.
Right.
It's just, I know a lot of teams do that. They'll kind of lean, look back. When the quarterback says he's ready, he'll tap the center, and then the center will snap it when he's ready. But, for us, again, it's just another way to change it up. So we try to let our center call as much as possible. Obviously, we're motioning and stuff. He can't, but, again, just kind of finish that. After the word we say, he'll say 2 numbers. So, as an example, hey, Charlie 22, but where the second number is what we're going on. So Charlie 22, he, I don't know if you can, obviously you can't see me, but he'll clap once, then he'll jump. Whenever he's ready, he'll clap again, the ball snapped. If it's, hey, Yankee 22, he's telling center, hey, you're going to snap the ball. You're going to call the cadence when you're ready. He still clap to keep things consistent every time to give the defense the same look. But that clap now tells the center, hey, all right, I'm ready as a quarterback. You say your goes whenever you're ready, because we don't want him going up there and the quarterback's looking around still, and the center just say go and snap the ball. And now we lose yards. That wouldn't make much sense. So as a substitute for tapping the center when the guard sees the center or the quarterback's ready, he'll clap, and then the quarterback will go. And then, like I said, he'll change it up some. He'll say to Mike, if it's Mike 31, again he'll clap just to keep it consistent. And whenever he's ready to snap it, he'll say, ready to go. So, again, with all that, I'm not sure how I got off on that tangent here. But
Well, it works perfectly, Coach, because I got a quick story for you, just real fast.
yeah,
We were in that same game I was telling you about where I had to replace the starting slot, right?
yeah,
Um, we are 4th and 2 at around 35-yard line going in.
hmm
Um, and they like to shift between the defense shifted a lot between like bear and then kind of a split 8-4-4 look. That was kind of their two things. And so wanted to freeze them just to kind of see how they were going to play this 4th and 2 on us, because it was the first 4th and short that we've had them on the field in like in a gun set all year. It's
yeah,
just one of those teams that we had zero gun stuff on them going into the game, which that was a whole thing.
yeah,
Uh, and so talk about a guessing game,
yeah.
and sure enough, like quarterback calls the cadence right. We get the freeze, we get the clap, and there's no play calls been issued to the line at all. 4th and 2. Hugh looks over like, hey, you want to change it? And then he goes, cool, and gave him thumbs up, and then the ball goes right over his head.
Oh man.
And it was like we still had 15 seconds on the clock, and like we're gonna go tie this game going into halftime. Ball's over his head. They get the ball. They go score right before like as time expires, and it's like, oh,
Yeah,
oh,
that's right.
guys, this is the kind of stuff we can't do.
That'll suck the momentum in life right out of you right there too, man. That's
No doubt. But we just had that just a little aside, and I had like a PTSD flashback to that, and just wanted to share. So like I said, things aren't perfect in high school football all the time, right? So
no doubt.
and being O-line guys, we both kind of know like nothing is ever perfect, and so
Yeah, I wish it was. Like I say, especially this year, I'm sure, like you said, y'all probably had a lot of the same issues where your things are changing week to week, and you got guys. So again, we're gonna make mistakes. I'll kind of try to explain what we were trying to do. I know this video is real bad. Some of this other video we get later is a little bit more clear. But so again, anyway, so this right here is what we call cowboy. It ends up being a triple option also, but it's just our shovel pass underneath. But all we told our linemen was, hey, Peter, they're running power right. And then we called this formation here's Lake Jack Cowboy, and that just is our shovel play. But we're gonna speed motion our guy out to kind of try to start to get in that pitch relationship in case our quarterback keeps it. But we're gonna run power. Here's our double team on the 3. And it's not at all what I said we were supposed to do. We had a freshman guard right here. He should have been posting him up. The tackle coming down, we end up getting a great double team on him. But we're just gonna
my
motion
man
out.
is trying to drive block, baby. He's on the
Yeah,
boards.
no, it's they're moving him. I'll take that all day long. It wasn't stay, so I don't know why they would have done that, but it is what it is.
No doubt.
And winds out. And again, it's power read. It's just different ways for us to run power read. Had the end squeezed down real hard. Now the quarterback's running triple option out wide. This is a terrible pitch relationship, but had he squeezed, quarterback would have then replaced downhill, and then we would have done triple option off, the forced defender. I think we've almost always given it every time. It's just, worked out well for us to have that. Here's kind of the same look or same play.
Ooh,
We'll
here's the
start.
formation.
Yeah, we'll start empty, with the wing back. We'll motion that's our running back, coming all the way over. They don't really adjust to it. But again, we're running power right. We're not having to rep a whole bunch of different things up front. We'll in practice, we just have a bunch of, formation periods. We just call formation lineup. We call the motion, or the linemen are just down there getting good at power right, power left, power right, power left. Hey, different looks from the defense. Guy walks in blitzes. What are we going to do? And just kind of our different tags we have. But, we don't need the linemen over here when we're working on all this stuff. So, here we got an odd front. Again, center isn't really going upfield. He's just kind of trying to post that guy up. Our guard, and that's our freshman guard we had, doesn't do a great job. What we should have done here was stay on the double team because, we didn't need him. They should have had just a lock call or that guard, or I'm sorry, an extra call where tackle says, hey, I'm an extra blocker. I don't need to come off the double team to backside because I don't have anybody. Guys outside of me. If he had a 4-eye in, then he'd have to, block down on him. But hey, the tackle could go to backside now. So we should be able to just stay on this double team and drive him the heck out of there. And our puller still, is going to wrap to the play side. But same thing, we roll out, that guy comes flying upfield, tossing underneath. Again, had he not, quarterback keeps it, and now we're running a triple option out here with this guy. But like I said, I don't think we've ever not given that shovel right here.
Love it.
Let's see. I think it's the same thing. Oh, no, I think we showed this one already earlier. Regular power. I'm going to get some where we got good footage at least. We're in tight right here. All right, so here, like I said, none of this stuff's in order, but this is, how we run inside zone without teaching inside zone. So, what we call this up front, we got double tight look. We had a tight front. Best way to be a tight front is go double tight. Kind of get them to cover the extra gaps. A lot of times that what we've seen that makes that 4-eye widen out. Now we can get the look we want. So what we're doing here up front, we're calling this. What's the play? We're going Peter bend. So our linemen are going to block power left, but what we call is Paul stay. And the stay tag again. So this is how, again, back to what I was saying at the beginning, how we can get all these different looks and variations. So Paul stay is a running Paul, but stay tells our pulling guard to stay. So now our tackle on the play side knows, wait, the guard was pulling normally, but now he's staying. So I have to block who he was going to block since we don't have a puller. So now our tackle will, if he has a combo, they'll work the combo to the play side. So we tell, hey, you stay play side with your combo because the guard's staying, and we now have to replace who he was going to get. But then we'll tell our skill players, hey, you're running Peter bend. So they're running power right with the option to bend back. So we're telling them this is the one time you can cut back on power when we call it bend. So again, we're running power left up front, but we're going to run power right with the option to bend in the backfield. So he runs power right, and then as you see, he ends up bending it back. Again, we're blocking. As you see, we're down blocking. We're running power left up front. But as you see, so because of our combo, so now the tackle can block out and the tight end can block out on their players. We would have our combo to the play side backer, and then this combo would work. I'm sorry, my lines aren't very good. Or would work here to the backside backer. Again, it's inside zone is what it turns into, but for us, it's the same rules as power. So we're not having to learn anything different. So again, as you see, our guard will step down, but the guy he was comboing to slants away. So then he just stays play side with his combo block. He doesn't go all the way down to the backside backer since our guard is no longer pulling.
Right. And so your running back is going
he's running
right side with the bend back to the left here. Is that correct?
Correct. So again, it's a poor man's inside zone. It's kind of what it turns into, but it's a great play for us. When we see that tight on, we'll go double tight and just run a lot of stay stuff. So yeah, again, they're blocking power left, but we're running power right A gap with the option to bend back to the backside A gap. So works pretty well for us a lot of times. Let's see what we got here. And so this, I believe, would be ISO. Yeah. So no, this is triple option again. But again, so what we did call it stay tag. So just a little example up front of, again, hey, we're running Peter power right stay. So the guard is staying. So now the tackle knows, well, I got to work my combo. I believe we have a shade right here. So the guard would just block down on the shade, and the tackle would work straight up to the play side backer. The backside guard and center are going to, work. Really, should end up being the center going to backside backer. The guard would just base out into 3 right here. So yeah, we blocked that fairly well. I don't know if we get held up with our tackle, so we'll end up getting the play side backer. But again, that's why we run our option stuff. Keep them honest. The guy squeezes, we keep it downfield, and this is the one I was talking about earlier. The one play that he pitches it more than 5 yards downfield, and our guy drops it. Again, had he caught it, he'd probably out the gate first score. But
right,
it's a mistake of ours. So, anyways, what I was trying to show, and I'll find it here, would be how we run ISO. Again, it's just a wrinkle, but it's nothing new for us. I guess I should show trade first before I do all that. All right. So with power, people run counter too. I don't call it counter. I just call it trade, because all we're doing for us is, like anybody else, you're trading responsibilities. on power. The guard wraps the play side backer, and your second back, your Y, your whoever you got is kicking out the end. Well, for us, we just we're running trade right or trade left. So now they're going to trade responsibilities. The guard is going to kick out the end instead of the back, and now the back is going to wrap to play side backer. So, well, why would I teach it as a whole new concept to the lineman? It's the play side's still the same. The backside tackle still B gap hinging. It's the exact same play, just two guys trade responsibilities. So, and we take just kind of more of a delayed step, but we're not really countering off anything. So right here, and we got let's see, this is a little bit better example of us trying to just post up our double team, and then the tackle just comes down and just crashes down. And now we've opened up that A gap rather than them trying to drive and push together vertical, and then the guard or whoever having to come off when this guy attaches, what she really doesn't, just kind of sits there and makes it easy for us. It's just, this is more of what we want. Tackle's way too high, but boom, we want to open up that gap right there for us to run through. Now our side is wide open. The ball is on the hash. Now this guy's on the opposite side of the hash, and ball carrier hits the gap and the A gap. Now we laid up. It's nothing groundbreaking. I think everybody runs this. It's just trying to show example of wrinkles for us and how we just kind of keep everything the same. Same exact formation and play. This is against Haynesville, one of the best teams in Louisiana. I think they've won about 13 or 14 state championships. So this is no slouch of a team we're going against. But again, we got two freshman guards right here, so I can't guarantee it'll all be perfect. But again, so a good example though of the horizontal displacement we're trying to get instead of vertical. Our guard posts up, our tackle comes and down blocks. We're trying to drive him down the line of scrimmage instead of vertically. And then, our guard should have come off right here for that backside backer. But like I said, we're not perfect. Like he was a freshman. So, but same play. We're just trading responsibilities. Guard kicks, back leads, and we got to play. So with that now we get that train. I'd like to show again how we run ISO. And again, without teaching anything, that's not a very good example of it. Right there, let me see. No, I thought I had more. Well, here, I'll find some from us this year. A little bit. We ran into a whole lot with our quarterback. My bad here, Coach.
No, you're good, dude. I love it.
Let's see what we got here. This might be it. Let's triple option again. Like I said, as I'm looking for one, our quarterback this year ran for 21 touchdowns and about 1,200 yards, while still 25. So again, he's by no means an option quarterback. Never run his life. He probably had 100 yards, if not negative yards last year. But again, you make him do it enough. You see, he ain't got no wiggle in him. He's a fast kid, but he don't look like a running back by any means. There's no quick change of direction out here, but he makes it work for him. He actually ends up scoring right there. So
he didn't look half bad right there, Coach.
No, I mean he ain't bad. Look at him. He got no wiggle in it right here. It's kind of an ugly change of direction.
Yeah,
stuff,
no doubt.
But again, I'm just trying to point out to other coaches that don't be afraid to run your quarterback and run option. Don't say, I don't have an option quarterback and running quarterback. Make them figure it out. Again, you set the standard and you set an expectation for the kids. They'll figure that stuff out for you. All this stuff's probably in order of the plays we got. Might be just us checking out an RPO for. All right. Well, here's an example of speed option, and then I'll try to find that ISO stuff. So again, we're running speed option in the backfield, but up front we're running power right with the stay tag. So again, all that tells is our guard is not going to pull. So now our tackle would have to work to play side backer because he knows, well, hey, the guard's staying. So now I have to stay play side and I have to block who he would have blocked. We'll have our we call it cage, center guard combo should be going to backside. Again, can't guarantee, this is the back-to-back state champs we're playing right here. And this is the, all-state linebacker, probably the best high school linebacker I've ever seen. So not really sure what's going to happen here, but again, we're going to run, it's really a load option, so we don't block the end because we're running power. We have nobody else to block him since we're not kicking out. and we're just going to run downhill at that end. If he winds out, our quarterback will just keep it and get what he can. He ends up getting a good gain right here. But, to me, this again, another wrinkle that makes it hard for defenses to defend. We're running power option. We're running counter for us trade backside. We'll run the Cowboy stuff out of the same look. But now we're going to run speed option too. So it's just something else they have to prepare for. And, this guy's not really going a very good path. He should be working a little bit more upfield to block the force defender if we do decide to pitch it, out quick on the speed option. But makes a pretty good play right there.
Yeah, take advantage of over pursuit.
Yep.
Go get what you can get. Love it.
So here, this is a good example too, though, of us. So we had a cage combo, like I said, we had a cage combo to backside. But our guard now knows this guy walked out one of those things we game planned all week. We knew he's going to show right here, and then they're going to try to slant across, and he's going to come. So our guard knew, okay, well, hey, now we just don't have a combo to that place I got. Now our tackle should have changed, and now he should have worked backside since there isn't a place I got to go to. But, again, that kid over pursues. We got lucky right there that he did that. But, all right, so here's an example of ISO, essentially. So we call it normally be trade or train for trade right. But now we're going to say, I'm trying to get a good angle here, train, stay. So again, just like Peter, stay, that tells our guard to now stay. All right, well, the guard, since he's not kicking out, well, now the tackle has the block we would have blocked. Well, on trade, the tackle or the guard wasn't a kick, so now the tackle's got to block the end man. Now we got two backs, so we're evened up right here. Again, not really sure what this kid's going to do. We should have what we call a toy tackle and Y combo to place side end to here based on this look. And we should have, I can't see what we got right here. He's going to, they should call their combo right here to backside, and we're just soloed up, across the board. Actually, no, we're just combo there to backside. But so we're going to lead our back on the play side backer just like he would on trade. Nothing changes for him. All they know is, hey, the play is Q train, Q counter right. But the linemen are being told stay. So we know, hey, we're going to lead to play side backer, and now we just got an extra blocker coming through at this point.
Nothing wrong with that.
So, it's just what normal people are going to call ISO right there. Well, I guess that may not have been our tackle, didn't really block out. There's another example of it. The fronts here kind of make what I'm trying to talk about a little different. So, it's Q counter right, but it ends up being ISO. Because the tackle's got to block who the guard would have blocked. A man line scrimmage, well, he's a 4-eye right here, so he's going to block down. There's no other threat. If a guy was walked up out here, the tackle would go out, the guard would block out. We'd have a center choke with a really combo to backside backer, and our running back would just lead right through on the play side. Because they're front, we got a 4-eye and a guy coming through the A gap. Well, now he's got to come down. We're down, and now the back's just going to lead outside. And, we get at least again. Again, our quarterback got a lot of yards this year, but he's never been a running quarterback in his life. So, again, I think to me it's just an example. Here's, again, it's ISO right, but all we're saying and all we're teaching is we're running powered trade to the right with the stay call. So since our guard's staying, tackle blocks who the guard would have blocked. We still have a lead back to get the play side backer. But this is our RPO. I don't know how the people do it. I'm no RPO guru or genius by any means. We just, we have a few. We run stick if we have trips, and we run double slants on the backside if we have, twins or single guys. So we're running trade right, but our backside guys are going to slant. Well, as you see, we got a huge hole. We don't tag it. It's just an automatic thing. The quarterback sees it. As we're running, trying to run trade, he's going to pull it and throw that backside slant. I think a couple that helps keep that backside guard honest. I hear a lot of D coaches saying the guards don't lie, and that guard pulls, follow him. But if we can hit that backside slant a few times, might kind of keep him a little bit more honest to stay home where it could be a pass.
Yeah, especially with no apex defender, that guy just 10 yards on top of him, man. I mean, take the grass.
Yeah. And so, a lot of times, depending on who we're playing the front is, he'll squeeze in tighter to where he can just straight in to where that backer would have been. It might be a little 5-yard game, but again, it makes that guy hesitate. But, as you see, if we were to give it, it's ISO. Tackle blocks out on who the guard would have blocked since the state call. We have but everything else is the same. We have a double team to backside. Now we're just going to double team, and we're freed up. Really, he can block out. He can base out in the 4-eye, and our second back leads up. So again, for everybody else, it's ISO, but for us, it's just the same exact play had we given it. Quarterback, he could have given that right there. So it's a good play. There's at least a decent view of it. So again, our guard did a decent job of, hey, he goes to down block, our center tries to post. Well, he slants away, so he takes it. Well, he goes the wrong guy. So like I said, we're not perfect either.
Hey man, year one, new system for these guys, young guys up front. It's never perfect with the O-line anyway. You got some good stuff going on here. There's no doubt.
We didn't find our starting O-line until week 9. The only guy who started every game for us on the line was our center. Every week we had somebody new going, and it was, unfortunate. Most teams are gelling week 9. By then their O-line is fully gelled. We finally found our starters. So we went through a lot of headache and growing pains through it all, but like I said, it ended up working fairly well for us. Here's another example, I guess, of that speed option. Again, like I said, we'll line up in that 2 backs to the same side. And we'll move them over, real quick and snap it before the defense can adjust. So again, we went from 8-man box on this side, quads over here, to shifting over real fast. We got 3 backs with the threat now to the left, defense's left side. But again, we're running power right with the stay call up front. So now, again, the guard's not pulling, so the tackle stays play side and blocks the play side backer, which he doesn't, but the guy pursues, and the speed option works out pretty well. So, again, it's, no one's perfect. This is a dang good football team. Again, they're back-to-back state champs, so it's not like this is working just to get some slouch guys that we're going against. They're running, they got high school kids too. At the end of the day, I don't got to beat the 30, 40-year-old D coordinator in the box. I got to beat the 16, 17-year-old kid on the field and keep him confused and guessing, not be able to stay comfortable in his normal fits and what he knows and is good at. If I can keep him hesitating and we just run what we run, we should be pretty good. Again, it's another example. It's ISO. All it is ISO. Q ISO right, but again, we're running trade right with the stay call up front. We tackle stays, combo should go to backside, but we end up not having the backside backer because one of them walks up, and 2, so the center would just block down. They keep that combo, guards down, and we just lead on the play side backer with the running back.
Nothing wrong with that. Love it.
Decent play. So yeah, let me see if I can find anything. So one thing that we really started doing at the end of the year, is this stuff right here, just going empty. Again, and so now this for us would be Peter lock. So it's power right with the lock call. So it ends up, it's kind of the same. We only really run it against, odd fronts when we got 0 here, got the apex guy walking up. But now we got numbers because he did that. So for us, lock, all it is the tackle locks on the end. Everybody else is running the same thing as power. If we have an odd front, it works out perfect because we got the same numbers. We got our guard, center, combo, work into the backside backer, guy pulling the play side. As long as we have where we can cut off that backside 4-eye. If we got an extra person, what he'll call if that tackle's like, hey, man, I can't cut off on my backside and need the center to come choke back, he'll call an Aussie call. That's what they made up, Aussie for outback. Basically, hey, come back. I gave up on making calls and tags and stuff. I told the kids to come up with it. It's a lot easier for me to learn something instead of asking 5 kids to learn something that I made up. It's, hey, this is what we need to be able to do. What do y'all want to call that? And they'll come up with the craziest stuff, man. It's pretty funny. But so sometimes we'll end up, depending on the front, without a combo to backside. But how I see it, it's just if that guy makes the play, it's going to be 5 yards downfield and I'll take it. But so again, here we're running power right with the lock calling the tackle, but we're going to line up an empty and take our mismatch if we got it. So we got numbers, we got off coverage. So again, as you see, they're running power right, nothing changes. So it's an RPO, but it's not. It's just a pre-snap option on take what's there. We got screens going on both sides outside, get the ball to run our best players. We end up getting a good gain out of it. So don't run it up in there if we don't have the numbers for it. Let's see what we got here. This is, I don't know why I put this on here, but this is a great play. This is, I think only one time I've run this, it hasn't been a huge gain. So since we run so much stuff, pulling guards, we will run GT counter too. We're not hanging our hat on it because I never just honestly just haven't had a good tackle that could pull and get there very often. But we'll show the pull because again, like most defensive coordinators are going to teach, those guys don't lie when they're pulling. So as you see, it's a GT counter screen.
Okay.
Favorite way to run screen. You'll see our guard and tackle are both going to pull right here, and then our down blocks they're going to down block, and then they're going to release out just like anybody else would run screen. We should be cracking the linebacker with our receiver, but we tell them if there's nobody there, if that guy runs away, then just go find somebody else to block. So just kind of let it play full speed. We're going to end up throwing the screen to the guy who is on the pulling side right here. He's going to slip back underneath all that. And it's a lot of eye candy, a lot of, trying to get those linebackers' eyes shifting around, and then it works great for us every time we run it. So again, if you run a lot of power and you pull your guys a lot, I think a great way to, again, throw a wrench in there and keep those linebackers honest from being able to scrape on top and fit into their gaps to stop power is to do stuff like this where we're going to throw screen back the opposite way. Just keeps those guys guessing.
Love it.
Big play for us every time we run it. Like I said, the only time it didn't work, I ran it the first play of the season this year, and it didn't work because that was my fault for calling that. We hadn't set it up. The guy hadn't seen us run a bunch of stuff, pulling and running power. So that's me being a bonehead idiot calling that play the first play of the season. Had that guy been blocked, would have worked. But I told our kids all week, "Hey, he's going to score first play. He's going to score first play." And they look at me with their hands up like, "That didn't work at all, Coach. That was stupid." Yeah, you're right. Bad call. Coach Palmer screwed that one up. So yeah, here's another just example of that poor man's inside zone that we run. So we're running power right with the backfield, but we're running. Well, I guess they're running power right too. He should have gone the other direction. So I might have called that one wrong too. But it ends up being inside zone for us, where we're not teaching a whole new concept. So got the same thing right here. We're running it, he bends back just like you would teach a guy on inside zone. Here's all that cowboy stuff. Here's just another example of us running RPOs is in a scrimmage. So here's, like you said, run stick, baby, right? So
run stick.
Anytime we got trips, that's our RPO is stick. So we're running power left right here. But I mean, shoot, that's how they're going to cover it. We're going to take that stick route all day long right there. So we pull and throw the stick. Kid falls over and only get a few yards, but I'll take 5 yards all day long.
No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, here's one more. I mean, again, it's power we got two backs leading, but so we call, I think, just Peter stay right here. So we're just down blocking across the board. Tackle blocks it down, and we're leading on backer. We got to kick out, and it works out. We do a good job right here. I do want to show where, we, like anybody else, I think we teach to log the kick out if he squeezes too hard. So as you see this end on the down block, he squeezes real hard. So instead of continuing to try to kick him out, our kick out block adjusts.
Go wash him down.
Yep, just takes him again. It's not groundbreaking stuff. I think everybody teaches that. But again, I'm just trying to show some examples of how we just run power different ways, man.
Shoot, man, I love it. And you were talking about your like making the calls. Just real quick, that made me think about year 2 that I was at Trinity as the OC. We had our right tackle, right guard were 2 Hispanic kids.
Uh-huh.
And so they started making all the calls in Spanish.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then our starting center was a state power lifter. He was a smaller frame kid who was just really strong, but he was also a 4.0 student. And so about midway through the year, he started making all the calls in Spanish. And then the left guard was a senior.
Defense, man.
And he started making all the calls in Spanish. So by the time the year was over, week 1 of the playoffs, our entire offensive line would make calls in English and in Spanish, and they were just communicating that way.
That's awesome.
And so our first-year quarterback was starting to, like, learn Spanish through football because of all the O-line calls. And it was
just no credit out of all this, right? Come on,
man.
PE credit and Spanish credit.
No doubt. Hey, principal, we take our academics seriously out here, man. So
yeah.
Well, shoot, man, I appreciate you coming on, and all that stuff's good. I talk power all day, so I appreciate you taking your time and wrangling the kids downstairs. I'm sure a little bit's a hassle, but how was Christmas for you guys? Y'all have a good little time?
Yeah, dude. I've never. I mean, I've seen it. It's actually snowing today, and it's not really sticking in the ground. Normal Texas snow. But growing up in Texas, Louisiana, and living in California, I've never seen snow that actually stuck to the ground. But a couple days before Christmas, it snowed here, man, and it was awesome. It was deep. I couldn't even. I got a trailer in the backyard. I needed to hitch up and go pick some stuff up, but I couldn't even get to it because just how deep the snow was. So our kids had a blast. I had a blast. We got to make a snowman and all that.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, we just stayed around here, with COVID and everything. We didn't go travel, see family, but yeah, we had a good time, man. I appreciate it.
Well, I'll let you get back to it. Go have a good time with the little ones and the wife, and man, best of luck this off season to you. I know first year head coach in Corona season is I can't even imagine, dude. So best of luck going forward, and if there's anything you ever need, man, reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I appreciate you, Jonathan. Hey, same thing. Good luck to you guys. Y'all are doing it right. I can tell. I enjoy following you on Twitter. I know, like I said, we don't talk a lot, but I think we both kind of kept up with each other. And, you're doing a heck of a job in your career as well. Again, I just appreciate the opportunity. I don't think I'm some genius coach or expert. I'll talk football any day, So, again, thanks for the opportunity. Last thing I'll say is, hey, shout out to my coaches, my assistants. Nothing I would do successful, happens without them, and my wife, she supports me more than anybody. So again, appreciate all that. Appreciate you, man. Good luck to you.
Take care.